Hey, welcome back to our
Hey,
channel.
welcome back everyone.
Yeah.
We are glad to see you.
Yes.
Glad we made it through another week without you because we see you every week.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's been a real good week this week.
Yes, every week is a good week,
Yes,
and we
it
are
is.
glad to be alive.
Yes, we
All
are.
right, so we just want to say welcome back for all of our returning viewers.
Yes, and if you're new here, welcome.
That's right. Welcome. We are Jason and Tina Marie.
Yep.
Or is it Jason and Tina Marie?
I like Jason and Tina Marie, but you were saying it, so it's
Jason.
Tina.
No. I said Jason on both times.
Okay, cool.
I just pointed to me.
All right.
All right, it's Jason and Tina Marie. We are life coaches, mentors, motivational speakers on self-love, self-development, and what's our big thing? Transformation. We are creators of Legendary Relationship and our truly life-changing 6 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
6-week relationship course, Elevate Your Marriage.
Also, we're the host of Love and Beyond the I Do podcast, Principal Works Gear and Accessories. Last but not least, we're the authors of 8 Simple Ways to Awaken the Love and Intimacy in Your Relationship. And soon to be released, our book, The Chase.
The Chase.
Yes.
All right. So we will get into today's topic, which we hope that you saw, right? And that's why you're tuned in tonight, talking about change, because that's what we're all about this year. Change. Not the kind you find in your purse or your pocket.
Some real change.
We're talking about change that elevates us to the next level. All right. So right after this, we'll be right back. All right, remember you can find us here on Friday live, ready to talk love, relationships, self-development, and our specialty, marriage.
Wonderful. All right, so wherever you can find our podcast, wherever you get your podcast delivered, we're everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, Amazon, you name it, we're there. Audible, wherever you can get it. You can find our Friday nights live broadcast on YouTube at Legendary Relationship, or you can just find us on Facebook at Legendary Relationship as well. You can find a free copy of our ebook, which is on our website at legendaryrelationship.com. We also have our course on there, which is Elevate Your Marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But you would have to qualify for that. So we take discovery calls of that just to see if we're a good fit to work with one another.
Mm-hmm. And then where can they find all of our stuff, our blogs, our gear, our mugs and cups? So when they say, hey, they can show it, and they can find our old, new, in-between podcast, anything and everything.
You can go to legendaryrelationship.com/info, but if you don't want to do all that, you can just click the QR code right on the screen. Yeah, you can click the QR code right on the screen, and then it'll take you to wherever you want to go.
All right. So let's get into the topic tonight. So we have been talking about change, right?
Yep.
A new year always should bring about a new us. We should, even if we're doing well and we are striving for the best, we should always reach for more. You know, as we stated before, if you're not living and striving, then that means that you're just existing. And we don't want to exist. We want to thrive in life. And so it doesn't matter where you are. You can always strive to be better, to be more. There's always areas to work in, right? So tonight we are discussing when I think I'm changing, right? So often.
So what you're saying, in your head, you think you're changing, but actually you're not really making that much of a difference?
I think people, they make the decision to change, and then we look at those small things in our lives to say, okay, I'm going to change.
Right.
But it's the things that are hard to come to grips with that we're not changing. And so when we're looking for that impact, that manifestation of change, that show me that I'm changing, and we don't see it, we wonder why when we say, well, I've changed. I no longer do this, or I don't do that, or I don't get easily upset, where we think we're changing. But the truth of the matter is that we're only changing something that's easy for us to change, but we're not changing what maybe truly needs to be changed.
Sure, right. So we'll change the easy stuff, right?
Most
to
of the
say
time.
we're actually doing something,
Right.
So it's not the stuff that we really need to get down and change. We'll just say, you know what, I'll do something real minor, like I don't know, something small, like I may open your car door, which I always do. I do that anyway, but something small,
I think most of the time change is when people don't want to be honest with themselves.
Sure.
And case in point is like our show. Some people who are married or in relationships, they'll say, I know you have, you come on Friday, and I don't need to watch it, or something like that. Or they tell themselves they don't need to watch it,
right,
because they can't come to grips with that they really do need to watch it. Sometimes people can't be honest with themselves about the issues that they're having, or to take a harder look at their relationship or themselves. We can't, how do I say it? It's hard for people to be 100% honest with the things that need to be changed, because sometimes we can't come to grips with them. We can't.
Yeah, because it hurts.
Yeah, because we don't know how to be honest.
I mean, listen, nobody wants to get caught on their stuff. So,
but we don't even want to call.
I know that,
stuff, right?
So that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to be called on one of those stuff, because I don't really want to be.
How many people do you know that are married that could really benefit from the information that we're getting now? And this is not a self-promotion right now. This is the truth.
Right. The problem is we're just not going to talk about it, right? And the first thing a lot of people say was like, I really don't want you in my business like that.
Or they don't want to look at the show because it makes them feel some type of way, right? It makes us actually face those things that we don't want to face. It makes us see the imperfections in our own relationship. Right,
but if you want to have a successful relationship, you're going to have to really talk about the things you need to talk about. So if I want a happy relationship, I want a happy marriage, I want everything to go well, but there's no book, no blueprint for it. So how do I get there, right? So either I need to hang out with people who already have it and expound to be that way, or I can just fumble around in the dark. I mean, it takes a lot to have a good relationship. We've worked hard at cultivating the relationship that we have,
and we've been
I think I said have, but have.
So in the beginning of our relationship, I think it wasn't even intentional. Like, we just kind of let life happen lots of times, and then we found ourselves in a position that we didn't like, and then we had to ask ourselves, how do we get out of this? How do we get in it? How do we get out of it? How do we make it better? If we're truly committed to one another, how do we create that change that makes us better? How do we stop doing the things that prevent us from having the relationship that we truly want? I know when I'm unhappy, like when I don't feel happy, it's not something that I really want to express. It's not something that I want to feel, right? And so when things are working out well, we have a tendency to put blinders on. Right? We say, okay, well, everything is going okay. I'm not going to rock the boat. But when the boat starts to rock, where do we go? Why do we not seek advice and help and change before the boat starts to basically just getting ready to just
because no one ever taught us how. I mean, like, we learn from our past. We learn from what we grew up with. So we go by what we know, right? And sometimes it's not a very good example of what we've shown about how marriage is supposed to be.
All right, so let's get some of our viewers. We thank you guys for tuning in.
Lanice.
Hey, family.
How are you? Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you. We want to thank all of our guests, all of our visitors.
Hey, Thomas chimed in. Hey, how's it going, man? It's good to see you.
All right.
He was typing. He said, "Keep it positively." I'm not sure what you're probably saying, but I can only infer, and I don't want to do that.
Right. So Sandra said, you're going to have to open it up because my girl Anissa always tells me.
Yeah, you don't have your glasses on.
Y'all talk about stuff that not only make you take a look at yourself, but now I got to make a decision to do something. Exactly. Wow. And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we want to... we want things to get better, but we want to pretend that they're going to get better by not doing anything.
Yeah, because first I have to fix you because I'm okay. So
right.
We
do that. We play that.
For me to have a better relationship,
absolutely.
You need to be okay. I need you to change and do this. Well, in order for you to change, I need to change.
Or, as we stated earlier, so we change something small. So right. we want to see change. We want, first of all, we want our mate to change so that we can change, so that we can feel better, so that the situation gets better. Whereas we forget that the change must start with us or right. begin with us in order for the situation to change, right? We often want someone else to do something or something else to change so that we can eventually catch up with it, and that's really right. not the way it works. We have to change first, or what we'll do is we'll stop doing one little thing. We'll say, okay, I'm going to stop nagging him, right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to stop
about this one particular issue,
or whatever it
right?
is, right?
Yep.
I'm going to stop nagging this person, or I'm going to stop nagging my spouse, and then we stop doing it, and then we're looking really for a response to show we want our mate to recognize the fact that we've changed. And then when they don't, we say, well, I've changed. I don't nag you anymore. Why? You haven't changed.
Now we're keeping points.
Well, it's the point that we think that we've changed, but we changed this little bitty thing, right. and then we think that it's going to have this huge domino, astronomical effect on our relationship when we really haven't changed at all. We're just looking for confirmation for the other person to change. Well, if I do a little something, then hopefully that'll spark my mate to do more.
Right.
Or to see that I've changed.
Right.
And so now to say, okay, well, where's the change coming from? Like, when are you going to change?
Right.
We're really not changing for ourselves. We're changing really to try to make the other person change.
Yep.
Hard conversation is never easy, and once we wrap our minds around that, we are moving in the right direction.
Yep.
That's right.
And I got something for that too. You say hard conversations. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we just need to have a conversation.
That's true.
It don't even have to be hard. Sometimes we don't even have a level of communication at all.
That's
true.
And
that's part of the problem.
Or we don't know how to, before we, like you said, just the conversation. We don't even know how to have the conversation that, hey, something is wrong. Let's try to start small and figure out what it is together, mm-hmm. instead of looking for that really, really hard conversation. Because as Jason stated, if we can't have a conversation about the little things, if we can't move towards a resolution and understanding where we are not seeing eye to eye, how are we going to resolve the resolution of not seeing eye to eye, right?
Yeah, we're not. That's not going to happen, right? So the first thing you need to do, I know we always talk about communication,
right?
But if we can't really communicate on the small things, you for sure can't handle the big stuff. I can tell you that right off.
And as Lee said, we definitely need to have those hard conversations, because if we are feeling at a point of hopelessness, despair, mm-hmm. like there's no sense of talking about it because we've went through this rodeo over and over again, then we have to try something new. And that's the whole approach that we want you guys to understand, that change starts with you. And it starts with you doing the change because you want change, not because you change something small and you want your mate to recognize it and then follow suit.
Right.
We don't change. I don't change because I want Jason to change. I change because I want the situation to change.
That's right.
And in order for the situation to change, I have to change what's in my power, which is me.
Right.
I have to change the way, as we talked to Dennis, right? We mm-hmm. told Dennis, when you change, everything around you changes. There is no way around it. And if you stay the same, everything around you stays the same. And this is what we need to understand. Change is not a process that I'm going to do this one little bitty thing, right. and then I want everyone else around me to do all the right things. I wish it worked like that.
I do. I really wish it would work like that, but it doesn't work like that. All right.
This is years and years that we have trained ourselves to create habits in the way we react to each other, in the way we respond to each other, in the way we look, our perspective of things, our circumstances, our experiences. So those things are going to take time. And if we don't realize that the change has to start with us, because we have to first realize what we need to change.
Exactly.
Right?
So,
hey, Lavanya.
So Lavanya's traveling again. She just got off the plane from.
Wait, get off the plane from Vegas. Last Friday she was getting off the plane at Vegas.
Yeah. She's always on the move, and you know what? We appreciate you chiming in, no matter where you're at. You've been to Cancun with you.
Yes,
we've been to
a couple places.
Yeah, we've been traveling with you, right? You've been to Cancun. I think you were down in Mardi Gras on a cruise.
Well, Lavanya, if you ever have 2 extra tickets, feel free to give us a call. We're free every Friday. We can do it from any place in the world.
I like remote anyway.
They said not only that, just because you change on one thing doesn't mean you won't have to change to something else. Absolutely.
Right, because you know what?
Yeah.
You can change. And fix it for a moment or a season, and then you need to readjust and change again to finish it on out. So just don't think that just because you make that one change, and that's being too rigid in your relationship in the first place, right? You change, I'm good, I make that one change and that's it, and then you should appreciate that. No. So you may have to change, and then she's going to change, or your partner's going to change, and then you need to readapt and change again.
Even if she doesn't change.
I know, I'm saying, but the circumstances change.
Right. So as Lenise said, we're going to have to change is continual.
Yeah.
Change is inevitable. Like, if we're not willing to change the things in our relationship that no longer serve us, it does not make sense to even go on board to say, all right, I want my relationship to work. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Hey, James.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Well, see, the problem, James, is never stop communicating. The problem is that some people never start.
Right.
Some people,
or their level of communication is so low,
right,
that they think they're communicating and they're not.
Or as Jason and I say, you have to have effective communication, right? So your way of communicating may not be my way of communicating. So maybe we're not really communicating at all. So first of all, you have to understand that the level, which is true, never stop communicating.
Yep.
But we also have to understand in our relationships as they mature.
Yeah.
As our relationships mature, we mature, and then we have to understand that these habits that we have formed, when you never stop communicating, first we have to have that open line of communication. Right. I have to be able to understand you. You have to be able to understand me. So we have to understand each person's style of communication. Jason has to know when I'm hearing him and when I'm not. And I have to be able to understand, okay, there's things that I say and the manners in which I say it that you may not respond to, right?
Exactly.
Well, you just automatically shut down.
Right, you may say something to me and I just may not, it may not resonate with me the way that you want it to,
right?
And then I may shut down.
And then I'm thinking that I'm communicating because I'm
right,
just
and you've lost me, right? You're just basically communicating with yourself.
Exactly.
One thing about communicating is learning how to communicate. Because a lot of times we weren't taught how to communicate with our mates. You know,
how to communicate with anyone.
Right, but we said last week about especially males expressing how they feel.
Their emotions,
right?
So their feelings, what they don't.
Right, we press down those emotions and stuff like that, and we don't really say how we really feel.
Right.
And if you don't express how you really feel, how can you effectively communicate with someone?
That's true. And then as a mate, I'm sitting around wanting you to tell me how you feel. Tell me, because as a woman, I'm usually expressing my communication through feelings. I feel this way. I feel like you don't love me. I feel like you're not listening to me. And as a male, they're probably, I don't know, but I don't know what you're thinking because I'm not in your head. But as a male, you're thinking, well, I can't express myself that way because it's going to make me look weak. You know, right? I can't tell her how I feel. I can't share my emotions. I can't cry. I can't tell her that I'm hurting because then that means that I'm not a man. So we have to understand that communication has to be, it's that area where not only do we have to understand how to do it, we have to understand the way each person communicates, but we also have to understand it's that vulnerable place where you and your mate are expressing things that should never be expressed with anyone else or brought up in a heated conversation.
Right.
Because that's the time where we share, and not only are we learning to communicate, but we are building bonds that should not, or hopefully
shouldn't be broken.
Won't be broken because we're building it. We're building on something.
Because if I'm having a conversation with you, that needs to stay between us.
Right. And you need to know that it will.
Exactly.
You need to know that my sisters and my mother and my cousin
shouldn't be knowing about what's going on. And then your mother looking at me funny because we didn't get back. Yeah.
He cried last night.
I thought you were stronger than that. I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about?
Right. So just make
because you know what? People that's outside of your relationship view your relationship different.
Absolutely.
So you start telling them about your relationship, then they get into it, and then now you have issues.
But my point was just that when we communicate, we have to be in that vulnerable. I have to feel safe enough with him to express myself, to tell him how I truly feel. Whether it's something hurtful, something honest, something that he may not want to hear, I have to learn to be. I had to learn how to be able to communicate in a way that was effective for him to hear what I'm saying without me crying and shouting and screaming and things.
Yeah, that don't work with me. That don't resonate with me at all. I mean, I look at it. I mean, I hear it, but I tone it out. Right? You could just sit down and have a conversation with it, but.
But we're just understanding that.
But it's ways of communicating, right? But you have to learn that, right? There's no book to say that once I get with my mate, I don't like this, and you act this way. I mean, it's a give and take. You have to learn all these different things and all different nuances and stuff like that. So that's what I mean. It's a lot of trial and error because you have to really know. Because when you really get married, you really don't know your spouse that well. You think you do, but
you don't know your spouse at all.
Right.
You don't know someone until you live with them. And that's really why I really don't like when people live together before they get married, because then you have the choice to say, you know what, I really don't like the thing.
But here's the thing: you can live with somebody, but then when you get because then when you get married, that's a different feeling. For men and for women, right? That's a different person. Yeah.
You're right. Some people do live together, and you get to see them, and some people, once they get married, you like, who the heck are you?
Right. That's true. That is called growth. Yes, that's called growing. Lanice, that's right.
When one person is talking to the other one, should listen.
Should. Yes.
But how many of us were taught that?
Yes.
How many of us really know that? First of all, how many of us really understand what that statement means
and receive that? So here it is. So if you getting on my case about something that I did, and you want me to sit there and listen to it and take that all in, because now you're calling me on my stuff, right? And you tell me some of the things that's kind of blaring in our relationship that's causing an issue, and I'm supposed to sit there and listen. Yes, you should, and that's how your relationship will flourish, but that's not how it always is. So when you dissect that statement of, when one person is talking, you listen, you have to listen when it's not in direct correlation with how you're thinking. It may go against how you think. It may go against how you're acting and how you're feeling. But to be mature enough to sit there and listen while someone is telling you, right? Because they love you, right? So if I want to have a strong relationship, I don't think I'm going to sit here and tell you a bunch of bad things or things that's going to really harm our relationship. So if I'm telling you something, you have to be man or woman enough to listen, and then the one who's speaking has to say it in a respectful manner. And that's the key. You just dishing all this stuff out. Well, you do this and you do this and all this other stuff. You'll lose a person at one particular time.
I think, as you said, dissect. First of all, when one person is speaking, let's start with the word speaking.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So when we're speaking, we have to speak to each other in a tone that, as Jason said, is respectful, in a tone that is receivable, in a manner in which you and I are having a conversation, whereas it's not an interrogation, or it's not you're feeling attacked, or you feel like everything that's being said is not true. So we have to get to a place first to be able to communicate. Right. And most of the times, when and not everyone, but I know that most of the times in relationships, when things come up and we don't agree eye to eye, it has a tendency of bringing out the worst in one person than the other. So we learn to communicate whereas I'm speaking to you and I'm in an aggressive manner, and then you're receiving it, and then you're coming back at me, and so we're talking over each other. This person is hollering that, or one person stops talking, walks out the room. Like, we have to get to a place where communication is actually open and effective before we can even get to that place of, as Lanice said, hard conversations. Before, as Randall said, as James said, before we can get to that place where you never stop communicating. You have to be able to listen. And my biggest thing that I always say is that we know the right thing to do, but most of the time it's so hard to do. It really is hard to do. And I'm not just saying that from a standpoint of husband and wife. I'm saying it from a standpoint as a mom. I know that there are times when I've tried to talk to my daughter, and she like.
Yep.
I listen, and then she says something, and then all of the things that I know I should do
And
go
say
out the
and
window.
act.
And then I'm this totally different person. I'm not in control. Now it's gotten to a point where no one is really listening. I'm trying to get my point across, and she's trying to get her point across. And so I know, and it has taken me years. Our daughter's 24. It has taken me years to get to the point where we can have a conversation where we're both listening, we're both hearing, but sometimes I may start one way, and case in point,
the other night when you said, "Baby, you're projecting," and I was like, "Oh, that is so cool, Mom." She's projecting. Yeah.
So oftentimes but I was talking about another one last night, but oftentimes she will be upset with something, or something or someone, and then I may say something, and then she'll snap at me, and I say, "Oh, wait a minute, I think you're projecting again.
Yeah.
You're projecting how you feel into something that I said, which really has nothing to do with me, but because you're feeling a certain type of way, which we do in our relationships, right? You're upset with work, you're upset with your spouse, you're upset that the dishes aren't done, you're upset that the house isn't clean, you're upset because of the kids.
It has nothing to do with the conversation.
Your spouse says something, and then it's like that communication. Let's communicate. No, it's like and then you're like not really realizing. So as I said, when knowing the right thing to do and doing it is two different things, and it takes practice, and change that you're going to tell yourself. It's a conscious decision that this no longer will rule me, as we talked about in the past weeks, right? Disconnecting those buttons, making sure that the change that we make, it sticks. We don't fall back into that habit.
Right.
So, but I was going to say, I also had a conversation with my daughter last night, and I got ready to tell her something, and she heard a few words of what I said, and then she reacted. She reacted as she got upset. Her face was like, oh, and then I finished, and I was like, you thought I was going to say something negative, right? And she said, you know what, Mom, I apologize. I didn't hear what you were saying. And that's where you can see growth and maturity, right? And that's where we have actually learned how to communicate, because there was a time that we were not communicating.
Right, but I'm saying the growth is with whom? You?
Both of us.
Okay.
Both of us. It took.
Yeah, that's cool, because that way I don't have to referee. Yep. I'm glad that you guys kind of worked that stuff out. All right. Hey, Dennis, happy Friday.
Hey, Dennis, happy Friday. All right. I like the way you guys explained that.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
And you know what? It's often the things that we say, the cliche words, right? We say the things that people say, and people say, and people say, but we don't really dissect it. We don't really get under the surface of what's really going on.
Right.
So most of the issues in marriages we could avoid if we would just learn to communicate. But no one sits down and say, you know what, we're not communicating very effectively. Right. And sometimes when people do that, the other mate may feel like, what do you mean we're not communicating? Like, sometimes your mate is not always open and receptive to that.
Right. People are mistaken talking for communicating, or talking at saying words. Yeah. So it's kind of like, the parent and the child. That's how I view it, right? So if we're supposed to be adults and having a conversation, we're supposed to be able to have a conversation. You're not supposed to be talking at me,
right? Or
all
putting
the time,
me down,
right?
Or making it
now it just look like we're talking about child parent type of relationship. So if you communicate like that, and it's not going well in your relationship, look at how you're communicating, and ask them after a while. Like you know when someone's zoning out on you, right? So if a person is zoning out on you, then you ask them, hey, where did I lose you? I was saying this, I was trying to get my point across, but it looked like that we're not connecting anymore. You're not listening. Well, what's going on? And you'll find out. He's like, hey, babe, you know what? You said this. You kind of hurt my, me as a man, and the things that I do, and I just stopped. You lost me. I checked out on you. So if you learn that kind of stuff, then you can have some meaningful conversations. But just because you uttering words at each other does
Yeah.
not mean that you're communicating.
Absolutely.
And you have verbal communication and you have non-verbal communication
That
as
body
well.
language. You got to watch that
Right.
body language.
Yeah, you can be like, "Oh, I'm happy," but then you look like, don't touch me. You can't have it both ways. So, all right, here you go, Dennis. What you got here?
All right. Yes, my partner says I don't give her a safe place to speak. Oh wow, that's
Okay.
deep.
All right.
But I feel she takes a long circle to give an answer to a question. But I need to learn to let her speak her truth on her way of communicating. I need to get you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I need
Yep.
to give her a safe space.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
So, Dennis, you know what?
That is so great.
True. You know, it's funny because I was watching a clip on social media, and I think it was T.D. Jakes, and he said he came home and he had asked for, "Hey, babe, what's for dinner?" And she went around the block. She's like, "Yeah, I was going to stop and get this, but then they didn't have it. And then I went over here, but it was so much traffic, and I did this, and I ran into this person, and all this stuff." And he's, in the end, he's going, "All I want to know is what's for dinner." That's it, right? Right? But, you had to take me all around the block to get there.
But or go ahead.
Men like to take the short. We're simple. Like,
I would say that you guys think that, but we'll go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, we don't. Right. We don't take like long stories to go around. But yeah, unfortunately, Dennis, you're gonna have to sit there and bear it.
No, that's not a way to say it.
What?
No.
No, because that's not a way of communicating.
It's not sit there and bear it.
Mm-hmm.
It's to actually try to listen intently, right? You want to have active listening. You want to be an active listener where not only are you listening to it, but you're following her.
Right.
You're understanding her. You're feeling what she's saying. Mm-hmm. And when you get to that point of communication, she can then reciprocate that to you. Whereas when you begin to talk, even as long or as short, she understands what you're saying. So we got to choose our words wisely. It's not sit there and bear it because you're not doing something that's unimportant.
Okay. Yeah.
You are actually trying to learn mm-hmm. your mate's communication style. And if she wants to give an explanation, right. then you have to follow it because there's a reason, right? She's trying to give you a reason as to why she does or says or feels
you are right.
the way she feels.
Right, you're right. Yeah.
And so, but that is growth because you understanding, and as we said,
that's
right?
A form of that's her form of communication.
And the thing is, if she doesn't feel like it's a safe space to share, she's not going to share, which means that now she's gonna keep that to herself. She's gonna block it up, and now you're wondering why you guys don't have this relationship that you want. And the truth is that she doesn't feel that she can have it because she doesn't feel like she can be herself with you. So we have to understand the deeper meaning, right? We have to understand what's really going on. People want to they want to be heard.
Right.
They're with my words. You ever close your eyes and listen to an audio book? You have to visualize what's going on. Like those are only words. So that's the same thing you have to do with your mate. You have to be able to listen intently, active listening. You have to listen to what she's saying and understand where she's coming from, because if you don't understand her, you're never going to be able to get past the point of not being able to communicate effectively.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Sit there and communicate with her.
That's right. Hey, Dr. Nene.
Hey, Nene.
Communication is vital to all relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not, so, I always say sex doesn't make a marriage, but it will break a marriage, right?
For sure.
And the reason why it breaks it is because the communication has stopped. And then once the communication stops, then the intimacy stops. And once the intimacy stops, then the sex stops. And there's so many other things. So communication is definitely something that we have to continue working on.
Right.
And it's not just I said my piece and that's it, or you listen to me and I don't listen to you, right. Or oftentimes men, not all, there are some women who have a hard time sharing their emotions because of the conditions around them, because of their upbringing, because of previous relationships where they were so devastatedly hurt that now they don't want to put those emotions out there. Mm-hmm. So we have to learn our mate. We have to learn how to communicate. we have to we have to continue to communicate, and it is vital. It's like that, you know how
Right.
when they hook you up to the things to
Yeah,
see your
see your
vital
heartbeat,
sign.
yep.
You know, it's vital. And when we flatline on communication, look out.
Yeah, everything else is going to crumble after that, because if you're not talking, you're not communicating, you're not on the same page, it's all downhill. After
Exactly, because if you don't know who I am and how I'm feeling, how are we going to get past this? How are we truly going to work on a better relationship where we're both are happy, understood, and we're satisfied, and we're striving towards a better relationship? So it's definitely vital. That's that pulse.
that. Yep.
Absolutely. All right, let's see what Mr. Dennis said.
Dennis said, "Oh my God, Jason. Yeah, you know what's you know what's funny? Someone told me, make sure you season your words carefully,
because you might have to eat them.
That's right. So sometimes I have to eat my words, so I always season them well.
I know he didn't mean it that way, but we have to be intentional with our words.
Wink. I didn't mean it like that at all, Dennis. I want you to communicate, brother.
And you want to create a safe space, because you know what, Dennis, if you, and I'm just, it has nothing to do with this conversation, but I'm just going to put this out there. If you have not been having or allowing to have a safe space, once you open that door, you are going to see a whole new person. Love like you've never felt, enjoyment, because right now she's holding a part of herself back, and she can't express who she truly is because you're not willing to sit and understand it.
Right.
So I mean, it takes our relationship to a whole new level. It builds bridges and bonds, and it creates something so much deeper than what words can just say, when you're really feeling like you're in a safe space and you can share, and that person doesn't want you to be through with it in 5 minutes, like sometimes Jason does to me when we're in the bed.
Yeah, I mean, like, I go to bed to sleep. Right now, you want to get your
you do. That's the only reason you go to bed.
Well, at that time, yeah. It's time to sleep at that time.
Right. Okay.
Right. So
sometimes I get a little upset because
you want to get into this full, thought-provoking conversation, and I'm falling asleep. I'm trying.
No, he's not.
Trying to stay up.
You know what?
But if you keep talking, it puts me to sleep.
So Dennis, that's what Jason meant by sit there and bear it, because I'm talking, and then he says something, right? I'm thinking we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
And then I hear,
we are.
So that doesn't make me feel good. I'm like, honey, are you listening? No, you're not. So, but that wouldn't be our safe space. But I'm just saying that sometimes women, when we're having a conversation, we really just want to be heard. I'm trying to understand Joan Site's sister. I'm so direct and to the point, but I'm here to learn, and that's fine.
Yeah.
The point is that you have to understand that you're direct, but maybe you need some cushion.
Yep.
Right? Sometimes your directness is not giving what you think is giving.
Right.
Sometimes being direct, we are responding out of emotions, and we're responding out of a need to solve an issue instead of prevent an issue. So your directness may work in the current situation, but as you learn to, as you're changing, as you told us, right? As you are now progressing to a different Dennis and not falling back to the old habits, you're going to soon realize that your way of communication may not have been the most effective way, and that you need to adapt to the new Dennis, because now the new Dennis takes a moment to think. He takes a moment to kind of
listen,
definitely listen.
Yep.
Right? So there's going to be a new shift in your mindset, because now you're thinking, now I want to respond to understand, not just to say, I feel this way and this is what I think it should be, and that's it. Right? Because
there's a time and a place for that.
Yeah.
And you'll have that time and place.
We want you to be direct when somebody's bothering us. That's when we want you to be direct.
Right.
But when you're talking to us, we want explanation. We want deeper. So Dennis, you got to go deeper. So Dennis's mate, this is what I'm going to tell you. When he's direct, say, I want more. I want you to be deeper. I want you to feel what you're saying. I want you to attach it to something that's substantial. Give me more, and require him to go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me surface level conversation.
I've heard that somewhere before.
You have?
Yep.
Where'd you hear from?
Yeah, I think I
should
heard
put that
it.
in my book.
I think it's in there. Because I've heard it.
That's right. When you try to give me them little
I do.
superficial answers,
I
don't
do.
give me
I do.
deep. Go deep, baby.
Right.
Go deep with me.
Yeah.
You know.
And I
give
tried.
me
I said,
more.
okay, I can give you more, right? I can be honest. That means that I'm like shutting off a part of myself. I'm not really open
And you're not
to
really
the conversation.
thinking about
Right.
it.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah.
You just want something quick and over with.
Right. Yep.
This
that's
ain't no
right.
quickie conversation.
Yeah,
We don't
that's
have
right.
those.
Nope. No. Sometimes they last for hours. In a good way. Now. In a good way.
Hey, Blue Sky,
Hey.
listen and communicate. Spot on.
Yep.
Yes. Now, Miss Blue Sky, when we want you to listen as much as you talk. Okay?
Yeah, because you know Blue, she can talk.
She can talk.
Right.
She can talk.
She can handle a conversation.
So, Blue, we got to make sure that when we're listening, we have to make it a safe space for our mate to talk to us, right? Right,
Yep.
mate?
That's right. That's right.
All right. So when we are listening, we're doing just that. We're not interrupting.
Right.
We're not passing judgment.
Right.
We're not listening to respond. We're
Ooh.
listening to understand. We're listening to feel. We're listening to go deeper to, let's really talk about what the issues are and let's try to resolve them. Let's not just talk over each other. Let's not just sit here and pretend and waste time. It's nothing worse than sitting for 30 minutes to get up and realize nothing has been resolved.
Yeah,
like
that's
that
a
is
waste of time.
a waste of time. Let's not waste
That's a
time.
waste of time.
Time is so precious. And I thank God this morning that he gave me more time on this earth to be with you guys today. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, Dr.
All right.
Nene.
My husband soaking this in because I always tell him the full story before I get to the point.
Yep. You got to go all the way around the block.
It's got to be
It's
about
universal. You know what? I believe you guys took the same class, right? Yep. Y'all working off the same course material, right? I do.
Ooh.
Excuse me. I do understand that. So, like I said, I sit there and I get through it. You know, I still fall asleep.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this. When Jason tells his stories,
Mm-hmm.
they are long. So he does the same thing.
Right.
But when I'm
But I
trying
gotta
to
set my stories up.
But
You
when
just
I'm-
can't. Yeah, it just can't come out. But see, my stories be like straight, right? Your
But-
stories be going around the corner, and then they come back and it stop and it parks for a minute, and then I got another story inside the story. I just want the story to stay the same. Just if we're talking about the story, we go, and then we're done with that story. But no, we will be on that story, and then we'll start another story within the story, and then we have to get back on the road to be back on the original story.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think I did that with
Right.
I think I did that with my son today. Ooh.
Yeah.
I think I did that with my son today because I was talking to him and then I started a story.
Yep.
And then I went into another story.
Yep.
And then I came back
That's
around
a
to that story.
recipe
And
for
I
me
could
to fall
and I
asleep.
could but you know what? My boys, oh my God, they're such wonderful listeners. He just sat there the whole time, and a couple of times I could read on his face, like, okay,
Where
where's
we
she?
go? Which story we talking about here?
And
Yep.
he didn't ask. He just sat there and listened. And I think that, like, we've been blessed maybe because I talk so much and their dad talks so much, but they're great listeners. And so, but Dr. Nene's husband, and I don't know your name, Dr. Nene's husband, I hope you get some good conversation here because now, like Dennis, you're going to have to stop wanting her to just get to the point of the story.
Mhm.
Every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has that climax that we have to get to,
But stick to one story.
and that's fine.
Right.
But sometimes that one story you have to go through around the block.
Yeah.
So
You can go around the block, but then just don't start another story.
but hey, guess what?
What's that?
When you sit there
Mhm.
and you listen to the story,
Mhm.
listen, because sometimes you kind of zone out. You really do. And you're
Yeah.
listening, but you're not listening. And then if we ask you a question, you're like, well, you know what? I really wasn't listening.
Right, because we're looking for the points, right?
But no,
And if
but
I'm
you
not
can't-
finding the points,
No,
then
but the whole point is that you don't want to listen to the points, right?
No,
we want Dennis to change, right? We want to listen
Right.
intently.
Mhm. Right, that's what we need to do, Dennis. Sorry. Yeah, we listen intently, because there will be a quiz.
Well, the thing is this: if it's a serious, now this is all serious. If it's a
Mhm.
serious conversation that
Right.
you and your spouse are having, you should learn to listen and not just want her to get to the point. Now, but now
True.
if it's a story
True.
about, she just want to tell you the story. She's around the block. That's when you listen and bear it.
Right. Okay. Cool. I got it. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So let's get that straight. We got to learn how to do it. All right. Jason, having a safe space is definitely important.
It is.
That would be Jason Scott II. That's our wonderful eldest son.
Yeah, that's true.
Who is way wiser beyond his years. All right, LOL, Jason. I zone out because the conversation goes from ABC to... Dennis.
I know. We'll be, like I said, we'll be in one story, and then the conversation will take me to another story, and then take me to another story, and then eventually we get back to the other story. She go, "Oh, where was I?" I'm like, I don't know exactly where you were.
Good plan. All right. But the point is that we have to learn to be able to effectively communicate. And if you guys can learn to communicate when we're telling our stories, you guys are on the right track to communicating when issues go wrong.
Now, we'll say this. Now, when we get into those conversations, and they're intense, right?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And they're intense. So when we have those, I mean, we just become closer, and the bond is closer. It's almost like we were intimate with each other, and we're just having conversation. So that does play a role, and I get what you're saying about that, babe. That if you really listen to one another, you can really create this bond of intimacy that you wouldn't be able to create any other way. So when the conversation and when the conversation happens or it appears, just sit there, and get there and pay attention and ask questions and be involved in the conversation. It's the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to pull you guys closer together.
And I would pose another question, but so we have some comments. Let's get those comments, and then I'm going to go to how we, piggybacking off of what we said the first time. All right, Kelly, I tend to stop sharing when I know I'm not being heard.
Exactly.
There you go.
Right.
There
so,
you go.
right.
But
that's the definition of not a safe space.
But now, Miss Kelly, now I'm gonna come to you, Miss Kelly. Mm-hmm. As a woman, we do that. But what I have learned is that when we do that, we shut ourselves off. So then, not only are we not being heard, but now we have added another layer onto the issue of what we were trying to resolve in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have to learn, as Jason just said, that I've learned from him, is that then I have to say, okay, well, where did I lose you, right? At what point, or am I repeating myself, right? Am I repeating myself? Is the story like, at what point do you not find interest? And sometimes, like I said, if it's a serious issue, then these are conversations that we need to have. This is how I'm feeling, and I may take a long time to get to it. And if I am, and I see that I'm losing him, I may say, okay, am I losing you? You know, what do you need from me to help me to understand? What do you need from me to help you understand how I'm feeling? And then that may be a time where we need to shorten the story or shorten the feelings, because sometimes as women, we start with one issue and then we want to bring up last week's and last week's and last week's. And so we think it's an opportunity to just pile everything on. Let's take it slow. Let us just one issue at a time. When we sit down to talk, let us make it clear. Let's tackle one issue at a time. And I think that right there starts the conversation, knowing what we're talking about, where it's guided, and what we should stay focused on. I don't know if anyone, I like to write, but I don't know if anyone was in school, so the teacher used to tell you, write out your points and then talk about that point. If you're talking about dogs, don't turn around and say, I got a cat too, right? We got to do the same thing in our conversations. Let's pick one issue to tackle, and let's stay on that issue, right? And sometimes it doesn't take a long conversation. Sometimes if we're just talking about that one issue, then we can resolve it quicker than we thought we could, because we want to attach our feelings to it. Then we want to attach, well, when you did that, you did this, and when you did that, it made me feel this. And then we're like 16 issues in, and the guy is like, what are we really talking about here?
I'm really confused. We started out with this.
I don't want to put genders on it, but the thing is that if we start with one issue and we resolve that one issue, it makes it easier for us to compound and
so we don't need a smorgasbord of communication.
We don't.
Just give me a topic at a time.
One day y'all can handle a smorgasbord.
Yeah, no. I know I can. Yep, I know I can.
All right. Can you bring it up closer?
Sure.
All right. So, effective communication is also learning how to get to the point. right, this is true.
Yep.
But not only
and that's both sides.
Not only
because
is my
sometimes
son a very good listener, but he's also a very good talker. And sometimes he is. He talks a long time, but that's a true point.
And then sometimes I'll just tell Tina, can I just get the Cliff Notes version? Because this is going a little bit too long for me. I just want to get to the point so I can understand where we're going. So
this is true. And I have to understand, like I said, if it's not a serious conversation, it's not an issue that we're having, then I say, okay, I kind of understand his point. I'm gonna give you the Cliff Note version.
Yeah, and I appreciate
we have to be able to decipher if it's a serious situation or it's not. What did Miss Kelly say? Not having a safe space to share my truth or conversation is definitely a big issue for me.
There you go.
All right.
I know.
There you go. There you go. And so you want your mate, so be able to explain to your mate, I don't feel like this is a safe space, but also being able to make sure that before you enter into that, right, before you sit down to share this, that you all are at an understanding that this is really a serious topic, that it's on my mind. Like Jason and I, when I have a really serious topic to talk about and I'm feeling some type of way, I come to him and I say, can we have a love talk? That's when he knows that
I'm all ears. I'm all ears. I'm not responding. I'm intently paying attention to what she's saying, because I know this is something that she wants to get off her chest, and she wants to discuss, and she wants to be heard at this point.
And I need him to be non-judgmental.
Right.
I need him to hear.
I'm all ears, and I'm listening.
So I'm not attacking him.
Right.
I'm not blaming. I'm not. This is a space where something is truly bothering me, and sometimes when things bother me as a woman, I get very emotional about it. So that I don't get emotional and I don't. The conversation doesn't turn to where I thought it was going right, but then it ended up going left. So this is a way for both of us to say, okay, I'm listening, you have the floor, then I need you to tell me, this is our way of communicating very effectively, where we are not arguing, we are not judging, we're not paying attention to anything else. This is like our serious zone, right?
Right.
Like, all right, so that's what you got. Let's create that space first, Kelly. So let's come up with some type of word or some type of trigger where you say, okay, before we go into these talks, I need to know that this is going to be a safe space, right? I need to know that you're listening.
But that's all, that groundwork is already laid, right? So when you come up with your words, like for us, it's love talks, right? So like, look, I need to have a love talk. At that point, we've already laid the foundation. One, the speaker has the floor, and the other person is listening at that point, intently. And every so often, you stick into one topic at a time at that point, and then I will reiterate what she's saying as she goes on. So she goes, well, I feel X, Y, and Z. After a while, I'll say, wait a minute, let me make sure I understand. You feel X, Y, Z. And then she can tell me yes, no, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm following you. Okay, continue. And then that way it can get resolved. I know that I'm fully understanding, because now I'm telling her what I'm hearing her say, and I'm telling her back to her. So then that way there's no confusion.
That's a very big point, Jason. Most of the times when in the past I would say stuff, I think I'm saying it this way, but he's hearing it this way. And by your mate, and so Dennis, now she'll know if you're intently listening. Right. Because you have to repeat it, right? So it's your time to say, okay, this is what I hear you're saying. Right. And oftentimes it may not be the right thing. Right. So then if it's not, you're giving your mate, you're giving your mate an opportunity to explain what the issue is without emotions, without tempers, without judgment, without attack. So that's a very good thing, as you said. Let's set the. So I want Kelly, Miss Kelly, I want you to talk to your mate and set the groundwork on. Let's create a safe space. Right. And how do we do that? You guys define what that means. Exactly. You guys lay the foundation, and then begin to build upon it. But don't try to build before you set the foundation. Right. All right, guys.
So set the foundation first. The guide rules, and this is what we teach in our course, right? How to create that safe space.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
all right, we're not gonna get because it's time for last week we went over.
Okay, we're not.
Make sure you get all the conversation. All right, any more?
Yeah, Kelly.
All right, Kelly, not having a safe. Okay, got that. All right, Tina, if Jason is not giving you an
eye contact,
do you feel like he's not listening? Yep, sometimes. Yep, because if you're not looking at me, that means that you're not listening.
I get that conversation too, Lenise. You're not looking at me. But here's the thing. When she's not looking at me and I'm talking, she'll go, I can do two things at one time.
It depends on, but if it's a serious, if it's a
if it's serious, right?
I'm looking.
You're right. But if we're just having a conversation, you can do two things. I can't do that.
So that's why I think everyone needs to set the ground for the conversation. So that has to be clear now.
But I understand that you can do that. You can actually listen and do something else.
Do six, 7 other things.
If I'm not looking at you,
you're not listening.
And I'm listening and I'm doing something else, I am paying attention to the other thing I'm doing. And you already know that about me. So.
It's funny because I'm not. Wait, you go and pull it up. That's funny because Jason and I, which is so sad, if we see a male waiter, we don't want him to wait on us. If we see a male cashier, we don't, because men, you guys, not all of you, but most of you guys, you just have a hard time of multitasking. It's just so sad.
Yeah.
Like, we had this waiter and he would pass 16 times and we asked for one thing and we're like, okay, that's clearly not understanding how to multitask. But anyway, so yes, Lenise, I do, because he's not listening.
Yep, and I
being heard equals being listened to.
Yeah.
I have to stay mindful to be an active, attentive listener. Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Yep, and that is extremely important, being an active listener.
Yes. Okay, Dennis said, Jason, I'm an over talker, and I usually put my foot in my mouth. Yeah, because you think you're being direct.
Yeah.
I'm slowly learning words to have to be thought out before speaking them. Words are powerful even when misunderstood. Yeah, so Dennis, make sure that you put enough seasoning on all of those words. You think about what you want to cook in your words, and then you lay it out. Nobody wants to eat nasty food, so nobody wants to hear nasty words. No, being blunt is not always the answer.
It's not.
As Jason II said, being
active listener
and attentive, right? A good listener equals a good speaker. A good speaker equals a good listener. We want to be equal and versed in both. That's a good bar. Love talk. It helps set the agenda for the conversation. Right. Absolutely. And we know that we're doing it from a place of love. Right. All right. Let's get to the next conversation.
It could be whatever words you wanted to.
Yeah. Come on. I'm rushing out. We got a date. We on our way, date. If you guys, we on our way. All right. Dennis said, I feel eye contact is important. Yes. Yes, but sometimes we avoid it because we don't want to really talk about the conversation.
But also, you just have to learn your conversation techniques, right? So I know that Tina can do something else and still listen to me and still turn around and tell me exactly what I said. But now we're
doing the love talk.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about. I'm just saying that we're having a conversation.
Right.
Love talk is everybody's attentive at that point.
I think we're talking about, like Lenise said, right? Lenise probably like me have a long story to tell, and she's telling the story, and her husband probably didn't even have paid attention. You tell me Right. And I think that's important in everything. But sometimes, so I guess we have to slow down to make sure that we're communicating effectively. My husband tells me he don't listen with eyes. I listen with eyes. But the point is that your eyes also tell your mind what's going on. So if your eyes are listening to that, it can't listen to me too. The ears are the channel in which we hear, but the eyes also help us, our mind, we talk to ourselves. So that's a form of communication too, right?
That's right.
Men, if nobody else know, their eyes are a form of communication. Okay. So if you're not looking at me, you're looking at something, and it ain't me, bro. Okay. All right, come on. Look at the next question.
Yep, that's it, man.
That's all of them?
That's it.
All right, do we have any likes and loves? We want to recognize everybody. Don't forget, guys, if you want us to shout you out, please put a little comment in there so we can say your name. We love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Yep. It says who?
We have Jones.
All right. Lavanya.
James.
And who else? Thomas. All right. And then over there we have, all right, D. Hey. And then who else? See, Lenise tell me all the time, get my glove. Why you? Oh, you can't do it like that, can you? Okay. And then Dennis, and then Blue Sky. All right, what's going on, D?
All right, here we go.
All right.
We got one more. Yeah,
Kelly said, I know I have walls up as a defense mechanism. I'm going to send you over a hammer. Tearing down those walls are hard to do.
Mhm.
Kelly. No. They're not hard to do.
Nope.
You know why it's hard? Because you keep saying it's hard. Things are what we say they are. We have to understand, as Genesis said, there's power in our words. If we're going to change, we have to change the way we think. We have to change the way we speak. We have to change the way we act. And we got to change, because what you say, your mind, your body, your feelings are hearing that. It is not hard. It used to be hard, but right now you're listening to Jason and Tina Marie, and we are tearing down the walls, because guess what? No walls are stronger than we built them. We can tear them down, and it's not hard. It just takes intention. It takes the same effort to build them as it takes to remove them. So now we are removing them, and we're no longer saying that they're hard to tear down, because they're not, because we are coming out of this place where we have entrapped ourselves.
Mhm.
All right?
Yeah, so
We're
we're
getting
tearing
out
down
of
walls. Well, you know what? We're all tearing down walls. That's why
Tearing
we're
down
here.
walls, tearing
Right?
down walls, and it's easy.
Right.
All right, guys, we got a date.
All right,
Come on,
Glory
let's
here.
go.
Hey, Glory, how are you? Thanks.
What Glory? Hey,
Yeah,
Glory,
Nancy. Hey, Nancy.
Guys, if you're there watching, please put a little comment in so we can recognize everybody. We don't want to miss anyone. We appreciate you. Thank you, guys. I'm a project. I'm slowly growing, and thank you. I want my relationship to flourish. Yes,
And it will. You
That's
keep speaking that,
Yes.
and it will. And you keep putting in the work, and it will.
Absolutely.
Right.
Are there anything? I think Lunique said something. Yes, Tina. All right. Yes. So, hey, and thank you guys for the conversation. You were spot on. All right. So let's open up those lines of communications. Let's stop thinking. What to say? Yes. Speaking it into existence is the truth, and it will set me free.
100%.
It will set you free from that castle with the walls and protected you put.
Because you don't need them.
That's right.
Need them.
And you know what? Hey, we are all here to express love and be love. So let's be unconditional love. This is the month of love, and next time we come back with you, February will be over.
Yep.
So just go be love. Just practice that. Go be love. Don't love somebody because they need love, or don't love somebody because they were showing you love. Just be love. Just give and be love. Just change it. All right. We love you guys.
Yep. Is it time to get out of here?
It's time to get out of here.
Okay.
Anything else you want to say, baby?
I think I said it all.
All right. So here we go.
You gave me a chance to say everything I wanted to say. Thank you.
As always, we're in it to win it. Love you.
Till next week, guys. We really appreciate it. Thank you for watching.